Does it feel like things are out of control for you, for your families, for your friends? We all know at least one person in our lives that can't keep up with the insanity that has pervaded our society. Whether they can no longer handle it mentally, physically, financially, or any other way, they or even yourself can't wrap your heads around all of the distractions that the establishment propaganda media, the politicians that own their narratives, and the activists that would burn your cities to the ground just because they like the glow of the lights and the misery on your faces. We've got beer companies sponsoring fictional characters. The same congressmen and women that came for your Second Amendment rights when you were younger are the same politicians doing it today.
It had nothing to do with gun control, but someone asked one of the gang members, "How do you feel about gun control?" He said, "Honey, you can make any laws about guns you want. Fact is, it doesn't make them any tougher to get. It only makes them a little more expensive to get. And that means I got to go down the road and rob you to get the money to get it." It amazed me that a 21-year-old street kid could see something so clearly, and it seems like so many of us just don't get that logic.
I guess we see things different ways, Dr. Gracia.
And every shooting, mass or otherwise, has to be put in racial terms because a divided society is an easily controlled populace. Don't let them distract you with the same stories they've been using for decades, just with a different face on it, because before you know it, and that time is pretty much here, it'll be too late to do anything about what they don't want you to know. Hey everybody, your resident man in black is back one more time for another edition of the best kept secret in the conservative movement, things that need to be said. For MRC-TV, I'm Nick Kangadis. Really quick, I'd love it if all of you could head on over to Rumble, subscribe to our channel, and hit that plus button. And no matter where you watch our videos, please share, like, and don't be afraid to leave a comment. I love to read what you guys have to say, and I couldn't do what I do without all of you. Now, on with the show. I've talked about this time and time again over the years, and I'm gonna keep talking about it until enough people get up and say, no more. Folks, we have a completely tyrannical government, way worse than the definition of tyrannical you might have learned in school. Our government, and in turn the media they control, will cherry pick whose lives mattered, but notice how they only do that after a terrible incident occurs. They'll never do it just because. There has to be some kind of victimhood angle involved, because their narratives are an appeal to your emotions, not your rationality. You'll hear about Ralph Yarl, but I bet most people will never hear about Kaylin Gillis. Sure, CNN and the rest might have an article online, but you're not going to hear more than a second about her being shot on TV or in a viral video, even though it seems it was an eerily similar situation to that of Yarl. Even in the article CNN published about Gillis, they made sure that after only a few sentences, they brought the conversation back to Yarl. Why? Because in Yarl's case, an old white man who, because of that fact, is automatically racist in the eyes of the media and Yarl's race-baiting attorney, Ben Crump, details of the case be damned, shot a 16-year-old black young man. That's all they want to know because that's all they feel you should know. Meanwhile, while they shun your thoughts and prayers for children being shot, notice how they ignore the plight of children and their journeys to the US-Mexico border, often being raped along the way by the animals accompanying them, only to often be sold to child sex traffickers. And I don't hear lefties crying about those child separations, probably because their favorite lefties could possibly be on a list that we'll probably never officially see. Consider this quote from 2018 by US CBP agent Chris Cabrera when the immigration problem was a fraction of what it is now. Quote, "When you see a 12-year-old girl with a Plan B pill or her parents put her on birth control because they know getting violated is part of the journey, that's a terrible way to live. When you see a 4-year-old girl traveling alone with just her parents' phone number written across her shirt, I mean, come on now. You know something needs to be done." Now think about the very real fact that the US went from having border encounters along the southwest border with 33,239 unaccompanied single minors in fiscal year 2020 to 146,925 in fiscal year 2021 and 152,057 encounters with unaccompanied minors in fiscal year 2022. Oh, and we only have numbers for half of the 2023 fiscal year, but we've already seen 70,016 encounters with unaccompanied minors at the southwest border alone. These numbers don't take into account any other portion of our borders, south or north. Now imagine how many of those unaccompanied minors are pushed into systems they don't and might never understand, and then how many of those end up a statistic because they suddenly go missing. While we know the left loves borderless nations and claims to love children despite advocating for the murder of them while still in the womb, we never hear about the kids that their policies encourage to make the dangerous trek to this country, with the bulk of those kids most likely never sniffing the American dream they were promised. If that's not enough, what's the other major problem that they seem not to want to talk about?
It's the economy, stupid.
Really quick, let me put a little recent history into perspective for you. This is just in the last 6 months, folks, and this is only in the tech sector. January 20th, 2023, Google lays off 12,000. March 14th, 2023 and November 9th, 2022, Meta, Facebook and Instagram's parent company, lays off a combined 21,000. March 20th, 2023, January 4th, 2023 and November 16th, 2022, Amazon lays off a combined 27,000. January 18th, 2023, Microsoft lays off 10,000. Now, in case you're really bad at math, that's only four major tech companies laying off a combined 70,000 people in the last 6 months. If we look at the tech sector as a whole, but only for the first 3 months of this year, 2023, TechCrunch reported that, quote, the running total of layoffs for 2023 based on full months to date is 168,243. Tech layoffs conducted to date this year currently exceed the total number of tech layoffs for all of 2022. That does not happen unless something worse is coming down the pike. The following is set to happen imminently. Disney is set to eliminate thousands of jobs starting next week. Meta to lay off another 4,000 jobs. Best Buy reportedly cutting hundreds of jobs in e-commerce push. And just consider these announcements that also happened in the last couple of weeks alone. April 18th, Open Door to cut 560 employees. April 17th, Ernst & Young cutting roughly 3,000 employees. April 14th, David's Bridal laid off 9,236 positions across the US last Friday. April 12th, Redfin cut 200 employees. April 4th, Walmart laid off more than 2,000. April 3rd, McDonald's plans to cut hundreds of employees. And the list goes on and on. All I can say is to look for specifics, rather than let the propaganda establishment media lump everything together into a 5-second story while they focus at least 90% of their time on stories that are geared, designed, and manufactured to anger you, divide you from your neighbor, and reverse decades of societal progress despite politicians' best efforts to subvert the ideology and morality of the U.S.
What the American public doesn't know is what makes them the American public, all right?
It's time to call our politicians, the media they own, and the corporations that go along with it what they actually seem to be: alleged criminals. It's time to stop playing into the delusions of those that would like people to live in a fantasy world where there are more than 2 genders. You can swap them on a whim, only white people are racist, and that only men are sexist.
Do you think straight white men are important? No.
We're all trash.
We see through your lies. At least some of us do. And we're no longer accepting or tolerating of the lives you believe you've set up for the rest of us to live in your own image. I don't know about the rest of you. I live my life currently like it's 2019, the year before the US let other countries run our own. So, it seems that things that need to be said are like a tree that falls in the forest with no one around. I'm beginning to wonder whether I'm metaphorically making a sound or not. Let me know in the comments what you think, where I do read most and reply to some. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel on Rumble and hit that plus button. If you like this video, don't forget to comment, share, and give it a thumbs up. Those are the best ways to help these videos reach more people, and it's the best way to let us know you want us to keep these videos coming. Subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell so the YouTube might actually let you know when MRC-TV comes out with a new video if they haven't censored it or taken it down yet. Like us on Facebook, check out more of our work at MRCTV.org, and if you want to support our content and the conservative movement, head on over to MRC.org/donate to help us out, since we're a non-profit and couldn't do what we do without all of you. For MRC TV, I'm Nick Kangadis.